Alright, you guys, it's the one and only Moshiach ben Joseph here again. Papa Yahweh asked me to go over Isaiah 2 again, but this time he said he'd try to help me go through and correct all the changes that Judah's people made, the Jews, and do like a Yahweh's translation of it without altering it too much, but just correcting the words and stuff like that, the keywords. So anyway, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go through Isaiah 2, and I'll try to explain it to you as Yahweh explained it to me. All right. Now, what you have to remember is the first lesson of the Bible, which is Genesis 3, is that there is a devil who, with those he corrupts, twists and corrupts God's words to portray him as a stupid, evil liar. And what that means is that you can't trust the Bible. All right? And some of the changes in Isaiah 2 that were screwed with were the opposite directions, like saying east instead of west, or using the word Lord to confuse the identities of Yahweh, Moshiach, and the devil, and also changing around Judah with the name of Jacob instead, to try to slander the entire house of Jacob instead of just the tribe of Judah. All right, so here we go. Here's how Yahweh translated Isaiah 2 to me. The word that Isaiah the son of Amoz, or Amos, whatever, I don't know, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Now that sounds like peace on earth being a good thing, right? But it's not, because there's lots of evil on this planet. And if they're not going to be warring anymore, it means that good would have decided to make peace with evil and peacefully coexist with them. That means that everyone would have become evil. Because if you accept evil, you become evil. That's just how Yahweh explained it to me. All right? And then it goes on to say, O house of Judah, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the devil. Because that's what they're saying, right? They're being like, well, no, we're going to have our peace on earth instead of constant war against evil, like Yahweh would say. And then it goes on to say, Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Judah, because they be replenished from the west, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. All right, so that basically says that all of humanity will choose to walk in the light of the devil, or the darkness of the devil, actually, and then Yahweh will forsaken them, and but mostly because they're being replenished by the West, not the East, but the West, the Western world, and are soothsayers like the Philistines. And that's basically like saying like how the Jews with the devil corrupted the Bible, or the majority of it, and all prophecy and stories to try to portray the Lion of Judah as ruling forever, even though it says in Genesis 49 that they would only rule until the Moshiach comes, and then they'd be cast aside because they're not the true word of God. All right, so they're soothsayers, meaning they try to foretell the future by saying that there's going to be this Moshiach ben David that will rule forever, and the real Moshiach ben Joseph, will die, and that'll be the end of that and all that crap. But and pleasing themselves in the children of strangers means they're also like pedophiles. All right. Okay. Let's see. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And that's basically saying that all they really care, their land is filled with these things because that's all they truly care about is wealth and their own creations, which is stuff like the altered Bible and stuff like that. They're just worshiping all their own garbage. Anyway, and it says, "And the mean man boweth down, and the great man humble himself. Therefore forgive them not." What that basically says is that remember, they're going with to walk in the light of the devil now. So basically saying that the mean man boweth down and the great man humbleth himself, meaning like lowering his own self-esteem and lowering himself to the level of evil and stuff like that. And that's why Yahweh is saying, therefore forgive them not, because they're all becoming evil. All right. Now, enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and Moshiach alone shall be exalted in that day. And that's like Isaiah, the end of Isaiah 52, where it talks about Yahweh's servant, the Moshiach, being exalted extremely high, and also in Isaiah 53, or I mean, which one is it? Genesis 49, where they're talking about the blessings of Joseph and how the Mashiach ben Joseph would be separate from everyone else because he'll be exalted in that day. All right. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and they shall be brought low. All right, so that basically means is that after they've turned to the devil and they're all becoming pure evil garbage on earth, that there's going to be the great day of Yahweh, the great day of the Lord of hosts, and that'll be when everyone starts panicking and start fearing him and stuff like that. And the Mashiach will be the only good person left on earth. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all the pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of men shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low. And the Mashiach alone shall be exalted in that day. Which means that everything on earth, everything man created, everything on earth will be beaten down and destroyed. And the only thing that will be left high and mighty and whatever will be Mashiach. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. All right. And they shall go into the holes of rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they meet each one of for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. And then this verse was sort of changed up quite a bit because it didn't make very much sense. It's basically sort of like, remove ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he will be accounted for. All right, and what that basically means is that anyone who's breathing and still alive, remove themselves from mankind, for wherever you are, whoever you are with, you will be accounted for by. Sort of like saying, like, if you're in the company of evil, you will be treated as evil and accounted for as evil. So to just get away from them. So anyway, that's all Yahweh asked me to write down and read, and show that it does read a lot better when you correct those main changes that the Jews put in there when they were altering the Bible for a pro-Davidic theme. But anyway, there you go. And actually, I got 2 dirty shirts here. If what I just read and wrote down and everything truly is the will of Yahweh and what He wanted me to do, then I will cast these shirts onto the ground, and somehow something like a face or a 314 will appear. So there we go. Let's see. All right. Is there a face or a 314? Well, there's sort of like an eye right there, and then a nose and a mouth. Sort of like an eye right there, and a nose and a mouth. And let's see, I'm not really seeing a 314 though. Not really seeing a 314 though. But that's okay. Actually, it's kind of hard to see, but there's sort of like a 3 right there, and then a 1, and sort of like a broken 4 beside it. So we sort of got the face right there, and then the backwards 314. So there you go.